Okay, folks, this week we've been working on solving equations, reviewing solving equations, and actually trying to solve some equations that look like this with variables on both sides. And I've been posting some videos from resources for you to take a look, but now that we've been trying it for a couple days, I figured it'd be good for me to get on and do a few examples like the ones you've been seeing. So just going to do a few, and then we're going to practice this some more today and practice it more tomorrow. All right, so we're trying to solve for x. We have variables on both sides, which makes this equation a little bit different. We've talked about in class, basically what you really want to do is when you're solving an equation, you want all the variables together. So in this case, since they're on different sides, you can't just combine them together. You have to move one of the variables to the other side with the other one. Right? And in an equation, anytime we move something across the equal sign, we have to use inverse operations. So that's why here, I'm going to make a decision about which side I want to bring things to. A lot of times, I like to have the variable on the left. So I'm going to take the 4x and I'm going to move it over with the 7x. But I can't just combine them. I have to, because they're on different sides, use inverse operations. So since it's a positive 4x, I'm going to minus 4x, do the inverse operation from both sides, right? So this is the side where we're going to put our variables. That's the side where we're going to put all of our numbers, okay, all of our constants. So this now goes away. 7 minus 4 is 3x. I still have the plus 3. And now on this side of the equal sign, all I have is the minus 12. Remember, that minus goes with the 12. You have to keep the minus there. Minus 12. Okay? And now we're in an equation that you should be pretty comfortable solving. A two-step equation that we've been solving. You know, we reviewed this at the beginning of the semester, right? So we get rid of the plus 3 by minusing 3, right? And then now you just have the 3x and negative 12 minus 3. Be careful with your negatives. That actually comes out to negative 15. And then 3 times x, you divide, inverse operations. And so x comes out to be negative 5. Okay? So the only thing that's a little different about these equations is there's variables on both sides. So the first thing you want to do is, take a look at the equation, and if everything's combined on each side, then you want to move the variables to one side, get them combined. And again, since you're moving across the equal sign, anytime you move across the equal sign in algebra, you have to use inverse operations. Okay? So let's try a couple more. I'll do one more, and then I'm going to have you pause the video and try one more on your own. Okay, so negative 7 minus 3x equals 9 minus x. Okay, we'll call that. All right, so same thing as we had before. Now we have a variable over here, a variable over there. We got to get them all on the same side. Okay? So I already mentioned, I kind of like to gather my variables on the left side. So I'm going to take this minus x and I'm going to move it over here. Okay? Again, since you're moving across the equal sign, you have to use inverse operations. So this time, because it's minus x, we're going to add. Last time it was a positive 4x, I believe, and so we subtracted. Here, since it's minus x, we're going to add x to both sides. Always inverse operations to move across the equal sign. So now over here, I still have the negative 7. Negative 3 plus 1x. So negative 3 plus 1, that's minus 2x. And now over here, all I have is this positive 9. Okay? So again, I moved the x's, all the variables, over to the left side. This time, because it was a minus x, I added x. I used the inverse operations. And now again, here you have a two-step equation left that you should be able to solve. I'm going to move the minus 7 over, so I'm going to add 7. Right? It's negative 7, so I add to both sides. Then I'm left with negative 2x. Remember, that minus goes with the 2. Minus 2x. And now over here I have 16. And then lastly, I divide, because it's multiplication, so I divide by negative 2 on both sides. And now x, watch your signs, is going to come out to be negative 8. Right? Okay? So let me give you one to try. You pause the video, you try it, I'll come back, and we'll check your answer. Okay? So let's do 4 minus 7a. Let's use a because, as we know, it doesn't matter what variable it is. A, B, C, X. Negative 4 minus 7a equals 4 minus 6a plus 7. All right? There's a little trick in this at the beginning, but we'll see what you can do. All right? So pause the video, try this, and then we'll come back and go over it. Okay, folks, hopefully you gave that a try. Now let's take a look at the answer. I said there was a little trick. It's not really a trick, but what you want to do before you start moving things from one side to another is you want to make sure that you have everything combined on each side. And here we do. We can't combine the 4 and the minus 7a because they're different terms. But here, on this side, we can combine the 4 and the 7, right? So before we start moving anything across the equal sign, we want to combine that 4 and the 7. So 4 minus 7a equals 4 plus 7 is 11 minus 6a. So since I'm working on the same side, I can just combine those. I don't need to use inverse operations because I didn't move anything across the equal sign. I'm just combining. All right. So if you look at each side and you have any terms that you can combine on each side, then you want to do that before you start the actual solving. All right. So first, just double check for that. And now we can go ahead and we can solve. So hopefully at this point, you decided that you want to move the a's to be together. So I'm going to move the minus 6a over here. Now, since I'm working across the equal sign, now I have to start using inverse operations. So since it's minus 6a, I am going to add 6a to bring it over here. So now I'll have 4. Negative 7 plus 6 is negative 1a. And then on this side, that's gone. All I have is the 11. Okay? And now I finish solving. 4, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. Again, inverse operations. It's a positive 4, so I minus the 4. And now I have negative 1a equals 11 minus 4 is 7. And then the last thing I have to do is get rid of that negative 1, which is being multiplied by a. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. And 7 divided by negative 1, that just changes the sign. So the answer is negative 7. Okay, so we're going to be practicing this today and tomorrow. This is what we've been doing this week. So again, just remember that in these cases, look at each side first, see if there's anything you can combine on each side individually. Then, when you're ready to move the variables together, you move all the variables to one side using inverse operations. I usually just, for consistency, like to keep the variable on the left. So you use inverse operations to move things across the equal sign. And then at that point, you just use your inverse operations to solve for the variable. Okay? So, if you have any questions as you're working on the practice the next couple days, just email me and we'll go from there. Okay? Great. Have a good day.